Hey there guys, Ian here, and today I'm bringing you another tutorial. This one is completely done in After Effects, and I'll kind of show you what we'll be creating today. If I jump into After Effects here, we can just have a look. So we got this pretty cool eye, where the eye actually sort of lights up and glows. You can see we've got some tracking going on. A pretty cool reveal. It doesn't just kind of radially go outwards. It actually has this almost bleeding effect, which is pretty cool. Obviously this is only the starting point of what you could achieve with this, but this kind of shows how you can kind of constrain something to the eye, make it move with the mask, with the actual footage, and a bit of color correction. So it looks pretty cool, and this clip is actually from a website called Dissolve, so definitely check them out if you want some pretty cool stock footage. It's perfect if you just want to play around with kind of effects. There's some really cheap options here. So the one I got is this clip here. You can see it's what I use. It's only $5, which in the UK is like £3, so really nothing much, and you can really play around with these techniques, and you can always download a preview of it, so it comes with their logo on it. So if you're unsure whether something will work, you can download it, test it, and then if you like it, you can then come back, purchase it, and get on without any watermarks. So that's what I did with this. I downloaded the preview to make sure that I could track the eye properly, as the logo doesn't go over the eye. And when I was happy with it, I came back, purchased it, and we can get on with the tutorial and have a lot of fun. So yeah, let's just dive in here. I'll leave a link to this clip here if you wish to download this one, but again, you can just search for eye, and the amount of stuff that comes up is ridiculous. So you've got close-ups here, so there's another one you could use, one on a white background, just tons of stuff. I just went through this the other day and found mine within about 10 or 15 minutes, and it worked perfectly. I was going to use this one, but I was hoping that his eye would look towards the center, but then I found this one, and I thought the change in depth of field would make for a really cool tutorial. So yeah, let's just jump in here and get started. So I have my clip, and I'm just going to drag it into a new composition. As you can see here, normally you'd start on 8-bit, and I'm jumping into 32-bit because we're going to be working with glow, and glow in After Effects is just infinitely better in 32-bit. And if you try and get the settings right in 8-bit, then change it up, it will just look terrible. So big tip is straight away change to 32-bit. And what I might do, just because my computer is using a lot of RAM, is just start this in a new project entirely, and clean my memory. Great program, this one as well. For some reason After Effects doesn't flush your RAM when you're finished using with it a lot of the time, so you get a lot of inactive memory, which is very annoying. And so this program with one button just cleans all of it up, and I go from 40 meg to 2.7 gigabytes, making it a lot nicer to work in. So I'm just going to drag my clip into my composition, into my project, and drag it into a new comp. So you can see here we have our clip, which is looking very nice. And now what we want to do is track it, and you don't really want to track it from the start, because you can see if we're going to be tracking the eye, it's actually out of focus here. So we actually want to go, I'm only going to use maybe 8 seconds, because otherwise it'll take a long time to track. And so I'm just going to trim it to 8 seconds, and so now we have it in focus at the end, and this is fine. So we're just going to click on the clip, go to animation and track motion. Now it doesn't rotate or anything, so we're just going to do a 2D track, which means we only need one track point here. So just navigate to where you can get this nicely over the iris, and then just drag out a box and drag it in. So you can see we have the full pupil here in this boundary box, and on the outside is where it'll look for each frame to try and find this particular selection. And so basically the larger this box is here, it might be more accurate depending on your footage, but it will take longer because it's got to find every single one, every frame with all of these pixels in. So be careful there. I'm going to do this. It might take a little while, so I'll pause the recording when I'm doing it, and we'll see kind of what we get. So we need to make a new null object, and this will be where all the tracking data will go to. So I'll call it tracking data. And then with our footage selected, we have our tracker down here, and we want to edit the target and make sure it's going to the tracking data. We're only going to be doing a position track. As I mentioned, it doesn't rotate much. And what we're going to do is click analyze backwards, and so this is going to analyze from end to start rather than start to end. So I'm going to pause the recording now, and I'll come back when it's done. So here we have what looks to be a pretty accurate track. As you can see, even when it goes blurred, it might not be perfect, but we won't be seeing too much happening when it's that blurred, so we don't have to worry. As long as it doesn't kind of jump manically off to the side, we're pretty good in this case. So now that we've got that, we want to go to the very start of our timeline, and at the bottom just click apply. You get this box, and we just want to click OK, and now you can see we have this null object which is tracked pretty much perfectly to the very center of our eye. So with this now, we want to kind of create a object that will go around the full eye. So I'm just going to create a new solid, so that's by pressing Control or Command Y, and I'm just going to make this maybe 1500 by 1500. And what you want to do, I'm just going to lower the opacity so we can see the eye. We just want to drag this to the very center, like so. And I'm just going to scale it down, and so we get this kind of look here. I'm putting the center of it in the very center of the pupil. It may not be in the center of the eye in general, but it's because we want the effect to radiate out from the center of the pupil, so this will work really well. And then all we need to do is pick whip this to the tracking data, so just grab this and drag it on like so. And so now you can see we have this moving around with our shot. So now we want to pre-compose this so we can actually edit inside of it. And so we're just going to right click, pre-compose, and leave all attributes, and we can call this something like eye comp. So now when we load it up, we still have our square, and it's the same length as our, oh well, it's not, but oh well. So now before we do anything, I'm just going to try and match up the depth of field movement. So on the actual eye comp, we're just going to search for fast blur, just because it's not as intensive as a lot of other types of blur. And we're just going to blur this out until it kind of matches our shot, make a keyframe, and go to where it's in focus and just zero that out. So now you can see we have a vaguely accurate interpretation of the depth of field movement as well, very simply done like so. So next we're going to play around with our eye comp. And for this, I'm just going to go to the solid settings under layer and just change this to a kind of yellow and click OK. And this is going to be what's revealed, so you can see here. And if I change this to, I think it's either add or overlay, we can see we kind of getting the effect we want. We just need it to be revealed. And what we need to do is make this more into a circle. So we're just going to have our solid selected, go up here. If your ellipse isn't selected, just click and hold and go over to ellipse and just double click. And what that does is creates a perfect circle the size of your composition. If it was a rectangular comp, it would be more of an ellipse, but because this is a perfect square, it will create a perfect circle without you having to kind of fiddle around a lot. So next we're just going to shrink the mask expansion and then feather this out so we get more of an iris shape. And when we go back, you can see it's almost lined up here. I'm just going to raise the opacity again, and we're just going to nudge this over. The good thing about having all the tracking data on a null rather than this composition is that when you come to refining all of this, you can move your composition and it'll still be perfectly tracked like so. So before we do anything else, I'm just going to create the basic mask for the eye, because we don't want it leaking into this here, so we're just going to kind of mask it out. So if you go up here to your pen tool, you're just going to create a really basic mask like so, just around our eye. So we have, in theory, the eye here. Obviously the edges are a little bit too harsh, so we're just going to press F and feather it out. And now we might just want to bring in the mask expansion a bit, just so it's kind of contained more within the eye. You can also come in here and just do some fine tuning until you get what you like. So this is looking pretty good. It seems to be tracking to our eye pretty well. Feel free to kind of just refine this until it's perfect, but for now that's fine. And what I also want to do is kind of keep this the pupil as dark as possible, so I'm actually going to go back up here and holding down Command and Shift, I'm just going to create a mask for the pupil and change it to subtract. And then we're just going to do kind of the same thing, bring it in a bit and feather it out, just so all the edges aren't too harsh. So now you can see we have this pretty cool effect straight away. You can play with the opacity of the mask if you don't want it to remove it completely. I'm going to leave it on about 90%. So now you can see we have the blur come in and his eye is a completely different shade of colour. And it's looking pretty cool already. Now we just need that bleeding effect. So for this we actually need to make a kind of matte for it to reveal by. And so we're going to duplicate our eye comp, and this will be eye reveal. And now we just need to create a new solid, and this will be a black solid. And also we'll make a white solid as well. So with the white solid selected, again we'll go to our ellipse to create this, and we'll go to 1 second, and well, actually we'll do it from 0. So we'll bring down the mask expansion until it is pretty much not visible, make a keyframe, then go to 1 second and bring it all the way out so we get a circular reveal. And I'll kind of show you what this does as it goes along. So we'll go back to the eye comp, drag in the reveal, and go to silhouette luma, I believe it is. Nope, we want stencil luma. So now you can see we have this, which if we go back will come out circular. So that's pretty cool, but nothing really very special, and it kind of starts too soon. So what we can do is just drag it over, say to here, right click, go to time, enable time remapping, and just drag it back. So what this will do is we have the start and end position keyframes here. So this is at 0 and this is at 100%, and if you just drag the composition backwards, this will just almost create a freeze frame on the first frame, so it will stay black and then reveal. So now we have this kind of effect, which is looking pretty good. And so now we can just play around with this a bit more. So first of all, we're just going to feather it out and then go and search for turbulent displace, I believe it is. And what we'll do is throw it straight on to the white solid. And what we want to do is play with the complexity, the size, the amount, until we get something that looks pretty cool. You can also try the smoother, you can try bulge, and what this will do is create this kind of leaking effect, which when combined with this looks pretty cool. And we can just add a nice glow down here. This is where working in 32-bit will help a lot. And we'll just increase the radius, maybe bring down that and change it to screen. And we'll work at half res just so it works a bit faster. And again, maybe it's happening a bit too soon, maybe you want it to be in focus, so we can just drag this over and drag it forwards. So it's looking pretty good at the moment. You just need to play with a little bit more. So maybe we'll keep it on turbulence. And maybe the complexity. We basically just want to create something that we like the look of, and go back and see how it looks with our glow here. We can try playing with the A and B colors. So maybe we want it to be yellow and like a kind of orangey red. And just play with it until you're happy. Then what we can do is just lower the opacity a bit more. And we can actually add a glow straight onto this one as well, and this will kind of help blend it in. So we kind of want two glows. One will be a radius of around 800, and we'll just boost the opacity and this will be our kind of general all-around glow, which we'll set to screen. No, we won't. We'll have it on normal still, add even, and then we'll just duplicate that glow, and we'll bring this all the way down and change it to maybe 0.5 and have it a radius of like 2, and we just need to play with the intensity of this one as well. And this is where having a screen setting may be helpful. This is more trial and error than anything. It requires a lot of playing around with. So maybe we'll just get rid of that second one. So this is not looking brilliant, but you can kind of get the idea. Oh, is that why? Okay, so maybe also what we need to do is under this mask, just bring the expansion down a little bit more, and I'm just going to lower the opacity of that, just because we don't want it to be too fill up too much of the eye. And maybe what we can even do is leave it here. So it actually stays there. We can feather it out a little bit more. And so we actually get some of the rougher edges staying in our shot. And maybe even further, just so we can keep that rough edge, and so it's not quite perfect. So something like this is looking a little bit better. You can play with the different blending modes until you get something that you like. And now we'll kind of just finish off with some just kind of overall color correction. So we'll create a new adjustment layer. I like to do all of my color correction on an adjustment layer so it affects everything. And what we want to do is use the black and white tool, and we're just going to darken the reds and also the yellows a little bit, and just lower the opacity of this, and so you get this pretty cool stylized look here. And then we're just going to use a curves just to bring down a little bit and add some contrast. And I'm pretty sure that I used one other thing. However, for now, I cannot think what it would be. It may be just some exposure control. In fact, no, I know what it was. We're also going to use an unsharp mask. And so we kind of get this bit of sharpening, and I find this works a bit better than just using the sharpen tool, as it kind of adjusts it a little more. So again, we can play with some of the tools here. On this, we may just want to drop the kind of harshness of the color, so I'm just going to drop a tint in and kind of lower it down a bit. Of course, you can change the color of it here, so maybe we actually want it to be a blue, and that will kind of come in here. And that looks pretty cool. This almost looks like you're just kind of trying to highlight the eye a little bit more. And yeah, it all looks pretty good. And we're just going to kind of finish it up with a vignette. So making a black solid, dropping it below our color correction, and we're just going to use the ellipse tool and just drag out something like this. Go to subtract, and we're just going to feather this quite a lot and lower the opacity. So here we have a pretty simple effect, but something that's very effective. And as I mentioned at the start, this is just a theory of it. Like literally this could go anywhere. You could have some kind of tech going along inside the eye, and that will look pretty cool as well. You can do all sorts of things in here with kind of like lines and other cool things. If I was just to duplicate this and with the mask, just kind of bring it in, then use 3D stroke, and taper it out, change the end point, change it to the nice kind of blue again. Like everything you do will then be kind of shown in here, so you can create some kind of high-tech animation reveal, almost like he's been injected with some kind of cyber warfare type stuff, which kind of is making him into a robot, or maybe he's a robot in disguise. Maybe Transformers have evolved into kind of humanoid people, like in Transformers 2 when he gets attacked by that woman. Turns out to be a Transformer. Epic stuff. But you can kind of create this kind of mysterious look to someone, which I personally think looks pretty cool. In this tutorial hasn't been the ultimate example, but this is, as I said, just a theory. This is tracking, masking, revealing, glows, 32-bit, all that fun stuff, and most importantly, Dissolve, thank you for this footage. It helped out brilliantly, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been interesting, helpful, or a good way to kind of spend your day if you're bored. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.